Hi, my name is Lee Pepin. I'd like to thank you for inviting me to talk to you today. I'm so sorry I can't be there live, but I am sadly double booked. So I'm recording this at work, and there is a busy road outside. There's a busy school outside, and you may also hear the school bell at times, but hopefully not too many times. So I'm deputy head teacher at Parkhill Secondary School in the East End of Glasgow, and I also established and lead the Enterprise Academy. Today, I'd like just to tell you a little bit about our journey and some of the thinking behind the Enterprise Academy. Um, so, some of you may know about standalone ASN schools, many of you won't. I've now been teaching in ASN for near to 20 years, and I have to say that it was a complete accident. I trained as an English teacher, and although I enjoyed my teacher training, I did not enjoy my probation year. I'll be honest, I didn't enjoy working in a mainstream school. I was in Greenock High School, which doesn't exist anymore, and two things really kind of still jump out at me from that time. The first is that there were two pupils in my S2 English class that were at what we now call early level, they're at literacy level, in a class of 30. So early level at the age of 13. And I wasn't an experienced teacher, but I tried everything I could to help those girls. But I felt then, and I still do today, that they were in the wrong place. They were lost in a huge school, and it was just painful to see them struggling. When I went into ASN, especially in the first few years, I thought about those two girls and how I couldn't support them as well as I wanted to. I was teaching classes of 6 or 7 pupils, and I could see progress. The second thing was that I had a senior class with a girl who came from the local ASN school, which sadly also doesn't exist anymore. She was there just for that class. The girl was supported by Support for Learner Worker, and she really thrived. And it gave me hope, and it showed me that there were flexible ways of doing things. So after my probation year, I was a bit disillusioned as I didn't really enjoy it. So I ran away and spent a year teaching English as a foreign language in Granada in Spain, which was one of the best years of my life. I thoroughly recommend it if you could do it. Don't know how you'd be able to do it now with Brexit, but it was fantastic. It was amazing. But the pay was low, and I eventually came back to Scotland looking for a job. I was struggling to get a supply job. I was right now, and I got a call asking me to come into an ASN school in Cumbernauld. Now, I moved around a lot when I was younger. I've lived all over Scotland, from Shetland to Loch Lomond to Falkirk to Aberdeen to Glasgow. I now live on the west coast. But bizarrely, this was a school. The school was right across the road from where I went to primary school in Cumbernauld. When I was at primary school, I remembered it being there, but nothing else. We were literally across the road, and we never went near it. When I went to work there, I was really blown away by what they were doing, and especially in DYW. We didn't call it that then, but it was, it was DYW, and it was in the senior phase. And a lot of things I learned then, I'm still pursuing or developing now. This was pre-2008, and the days of milk and honey were still abound, and they managed to build an amazing bespoke cafe and laundry. They also worked at a local college delivering horticulture courses. The school is called Glencrine, in case anyone is wondering, and it's a great school. Really is. It's a fantastic school. So, uh, so in January of 2007, I joined Parkhill as a general studies teacher, and very quickly becoming the main English teacher. Then in 2010, I became principal teacher, and in 2019, DHT deputy head. Within that time, the landscape of Glasgow and Scottish education it's changed dramatically. It's completely different. When I started, there was about 120 pupils in Parkhill. 5 years ago, we were down to about 50, and now we're back up to 100, which is probably about right. We've been threatened with closure on numerous occasions. We've also seen the end of the record of needs, two ASN acts, and we've had the inclusion agenda, which you could discuss. I mean, for those that don't know, after 2008, a number of authorities decided to do away with their ASN standalone schools and amalgamate them with existing secondary schools. Glasgow didn't do that, although they did create a number of units within schools. And I'll be honest, Glasgow hasn't always got it right, and I still think it's far off getting it right. ASN is one of those areas that there's never going to be a magic wand that solves it all. There is no easy answer. It's very complicated. But there are a number of reasons I enjoy working in ASN, especially in the East End of Glasgow, where most of our pupils are from SIMD, 1 to 3, and I know I'm making a difference. These are some of the most vulnerable young people in Scotland. They're coming from homes with backgrounds of multi-generational unemployment, addiction, violence. ACEs is a huge aspect of our work, and we regularly have year groups where over 50% of the pupils are care experienced. I also enjoy it because we are able to be more creative in what we do. This isn't the singular focus. There isn't, this singular focus on attainment you often get in mainstream. In my time at Parkhill, I've taught RME, Spanish, driving theory, health and well-being. I've turned classrooms into a cafe, a hotel room, and a kitchen. I've redeveloped an entire outdoor learning curriculum and installed 3 containers, 2 for storing equipment, one as an outdoor classroom. If you have a passion and a drive, then ASN is a great place to be, as you have more scope than you might have in a large mainstream school. Our home economics teacher was also involved in the process of developing the Enterprise Academy, which I'll come on to in a minute. My theory has always been that we need to be responsive to the pupils we have in front of us rather than chew them, horn them into the curriculum we think that we should have. And indeed, this goes for DYW as well. I think it's very important to be able to be responsive. Our young people aren't the kind of people that are going to be going into medicine or law or anything like that. We're not getting. We have had one pupil in the fifth, all the years, 15 years. I think it's 15 years that I've been here that have had a hire. So we're not doing that kind of work, but our pupils can still get jobs. I mean, these pupils also come from Springburn, Easterhouse, Shettleston, Tollcross, Hag Hill, and almost 100% arrive by school bus or taxi. I think we've only got 2 or 3 pupils that live in the local area, and they still come by taxi. So all the pupils have some form of ASN, but we have no stairs, no lift, so there are no wheelchairs or physical disabilities. Also, most of the pupils are on the autistic spectrum, over half at least, and we also have pupils with ADHD and global learning needs. We have a roll of 100, but with the Enterprise Academy pupils who come from the other schools, this swells to 135. So the Enterprise Academy was first proposed in 2016, and we opened our doors to our first external students in 2017. To be honest, we thought we were going to get closed down as we had so few pupils at the time. But 6 years later, we have double the amount of pupils and we have an excellent reputation across the city. Enterprise Academy operates almost like a mini college within the school, with a number of places ring fenced for our pupils and the rest open to pupils across the city. In 2016, we began renovating rooms within the school. We now have a custom built kitchen, our own hotel room, which was furnished by Hilton Glasgow, our cafe with a coffee machine. We were the first school in Glasgow to get a proper coffee machine installed, and within a very few years, everyone has one. And outdoor facilities and boot room for horticulture. We did have an admin room, but due to a rising school roll and the pandemic, we have paused the use of that room for admin for the foreseeable future. We identified 3 key areas at the beginning where we believed our pupils could gain employment. These were hospitality, horticulture and admin. We identified these areas by working together with Glasgow City Council and Skills Development Scotland. Indeed, during the setting up phase of the Enterprise Academy, there was a steering group which also included parents and pupils, and we tried to involve as many people as possible in the process. We were looking for clear pathways that our pupils could achieve jobs in. We looked at where there were large amounts of vacancies and what was also in the local area. We looked at where there were going to be future vacancies and also what interested the pupils. Now, uh, these are some of the main business partners that we either have worked with recently or work with on a regular basis. And I firmly believe that having well-established business partners is key to being able to make the Enterprise Academy work and to making DYW work in all our schools. We moved away from the single business partner model a few years ago. We were originally partnered with Glasgow Hilton. That was a really good example at the beginning of partnership working. We sat down and laid out a vision, came back with their vision. We met with the general manager and the manager of operations. We worked with HR and housekeeping. Their staff came in and did a day of shadowing our pupils to see what the school day was like and what our pupils were like. We had pupils on extended work placements. They invited us in to use their facilities for one of our in-service days. It was an amazing day. We were in a conference room on the 19th floor. I mean, all the staff were there, from the support for learner workers and admin staff to senior management, and a really inspiring day and an amazing experience for everyone involved. You're sitting way up high, plush surroundings. It really, and we got a tour of the hotel as well, so the staff really began to kind of understand what that meant. But then within 6 months, the general manager left, the operations manager left, the HR manager left, and the new staff that filled those roles, they didn't really want to know. It wasn't their baby. So now, before becoming a teacher, I used to work in hospitality. I worked in a cafe bar in Aberdeen. I did a lot of long hours, a lot of experience of doing those kind of jobs. I saw a lot of stuff come and go, and very quickly, I mean, you could be talking about chefs coming and going within weeks. So I understand the nature of the industry, but I also have a lot of friends who still work in the industry, and I know that it's also changing. It's becoming better in a lot of ways. For us as a school, we need to establish a network of different partners to ensure we didn't get dumped again, because we need to make sure that we can meet our learners' needs. I mean, it was quite emotional getting dumped. You go through a lot of, we were doing a lot of trying to patch up or keep the relationship, the partnership going, but it became much, much more difficult. Because the new staff at the hotel, they just couldn't see the benefit to them straight away, and because they were being told, this is great, this is working really well, they're like, okay, we'll just leave it. We were saying, no, but you need to put in a bit of work for that to happen. And of course, they're a business, they're trying to make money. Our main focus is on educational outcomes for our young people, and that didn't change. So we had to go kind of back to the drawing board. Funnily, Glasgow Hilton have come back on board and have been supporting our hotel skills class this year. Indeed, I was speaking to a member of staff who was out there recently who says they are so desperate for staff at the moment and really wanted to work with us on work experience and so on. So sometimes things go full circle. So partnerships are really important. They make things work. Our biggest partner probably at the moment is Hub International. A lot of courses for us, and through them we get a lot of really good experiences. You should check out Hub International, Stephanie Wade on Twitter if you can. She's fantastic and does a lot of really, really good work. A number of schools now, all started with us. Partnerships, though, are difficult because they require time to develop them, and you need communication with everyone. You need to keep everyone up to date, including staff, pupils, parents. You also need a shared vision. You need to have some sort of benefit for both parties, and that's the question: is you're getting good stuff from it, but how will the organisation you are partnering with benefit? That's key, and you kind of have to go in there with, listen, this is what we'll do for you. So we also have a variety of delivery partners. Hub International, as I said, support our delivery of hospitality, courses including the MPA Pro Cookery, Cafe Skills and Hotel Skills, and we use them all the time. We've got a really good relationship with them, and I think that's a way we have to be more flexible with the way things are going, and with staffing. You have to think outside the box. Apologies for using that cliche, but it is true. You just have to think about different ways, because you are trying to achieve these goals and you're trying to get the young people into positive destinations. You need to use who's out there, and that's who, in Hub International, it's a private company, yep, but they're going to be able to do that work for you. And GCC, Glasgow City Council Land Environmental Services, support us in delivering all our horticulture provision. We were supported by City of Glasgow and Kelvin College until very recently, but rising costs and issues with staffing have meant they've had to withdraw from this. We also, however, have our international partners, Alfred Wecker School in Nuremberg, Germany. So I love talking about International Link because I think it's one of the best things I've ever done. I could talk for hours about it, but I'll try to keep this brief. Our International Link with Alfred Wecker School was established in 2017. Of course, COVID has had a huge impact on this. I'm not trying to get too upset about the impact of Brexit in all of this. Um, it started because we had a visiting delegation of people from Nuremberg, education people, and the Enterprise Academy hadn't started, but we were in the process of transforming things. So we told them what we were wanting to do and what our aims were. And during this, I spoke to a couple of people and said, "Do you have a school like ours who would be interested in a link?" Which shows, I suppose, if you don't ask, you don't get. And about 4 months later, some people from Glasgow City Council got in touch to say they had found us a school and they would fund the first year of activities of the exchange. Since then, we've secured Erasmus funding from 2018 until 2022. I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen after that, but we'll focus on that. We've still got some of the money left over from Erasmus, and we've not been able to do anything, so it's going to be something that we can hopefully pursue next year. The focus has been on improving post-school outcomes for pupils in the hospitality industry to working in an international context. What that essentially means is that's our big fancy Erasmus title, but it really just means about young people who are interested in working in the hospitality industry, doing it and understanding what an international context is. In real terms, what does it mean? It means that 6 pupils and 2 teachers from each school visit the partner school and country and take part in a wide range of activities, including cooking together, organising a lunch, visits to local hotels, as well as landmarks and major tourist destinations. This helps the pupils to understand that working in the hospitality industry can be a career that takes you to many places. It is one of the most inspiring projects we have in the school and has a major impact on the life choices of our young people, of their young people. You've got young people from our school who've never had a passport before, never been abroad, never stayed in a hotel before. Nuremberg's fairly landlocked, so you have a lot of pupils there who have never seen the sea. The first things they always ask is, "Can we go to the sea? Can we see the sea?" And you're like, "Yeah, no problem." They're hours and hours and hours away from it. So I mean, when you look at it from that perspective, even if you're just doing that, I think it's an amazing impact. It's also amazing to see the relationships formed between the pupils from each school, and it pains me greatly that it's not able to happen now for a third year. So this is just a quick overview of who can apply for one of our courses. So any pupil from any Glasgow City Council school can apply. Courses are all at levels 3, 4 and 5. So normally what happens is the applications in June, in March, come through March, and then by June we've got them organised. The last pupils can really kind of join the courses by September. We try to make sure the pupils have an interest in the area. We're not in horticulture or whatever. We're not just taking them because they can't cope with being in the school or the school's run out of ideas for them. There's a senior phase prospectus that goes out to every school in Glasgow for external college places. So we need to get that. Get an idea of kind of where everybody's going to be and what one they want to do, and it's kind of a bit of fact finding going on there to begin with. And here again, this is another quick overview of the different courses that we run in the Enterprise Academy. So there's quite a lot goes into. So this is the nuts and bolts. Things like the international side of things, the partnerships, they support all that. They're the kind of the cherry and the cream on the top of the cake, to use an analogy. But this is the nuts and bolts. This is what they're going to get when they leave here. So we've got an MPA in professional cookery. That's at level 3. Cafe skills, we do that using the NPA Enterprise enterprise skills, enterprise employability, I think it might be. Introduction to hotel skills. We picked 3 units, including accommodation operations, that uses our hotel skills, our hotel room. We've got Introduction to horticulture, again, we picked out 3 units that we can do at that, and we can do SVQ level 1 horticulture, and we do that, as I said, in conjunction with Glasgow City Council. We've also got our independent living skills course, and we've started that this year, and that's using the National Progression Awards and personal development to deliver those. Yeah. So, and then I suppose the one thing that I would love to do, we trialled a health and social care course a couple of years ago, wasn't hugely successful. I'll be honest with you. It's something I'd like to go back to. I can talk. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But yeah, those are hugely important. So another layer to, again, another kind of layer to what we do using the facilities of the Enterprise Academy is that we run a thing called Food School Scotland. Now, this started as an idea to try and engage pupils and parents in a programme that would highlight the importance of the hospitality industry to expand their horizons about what hospitality jobs could be, not just being a chef or a waiter or a bar person, but all that, that we've had butchery in, we've had loads of different things. At the moment, it's been running as a 10-week programme, including visits to a farm, hotels, Whisky Museum in the Clyde, the Willow Tea Rooms. Pupils also take part in masterclasses, including mocktails, bread making, high teas, and we even get a massive full life-size plastic cow in. They get to milk that. And we've now run the programme twice, the first time in conjunction with one of our mainstream secretaries, Smithycroft, and the second time with Smithycroft and East Bank. It was a big success with a number of the pupils going on to take up places in hospitality or identifying that they wanted to. Some of them are only just leaving school now. So we actively encourage parents to come along and take part, but sadly this element turned out to be the hardest part. I'll come back to parents in a minute. My aim for this programme is to double the length of it, so 20 weeks instead of 10, and include St Andrews as well, who are a local school. So we can try and get, that'd be 4 schools involved, 20 weeks, really high impact, bringing lots of pupils together. So it's one of the most fun and exciting projects we undertake, and the kids always get loads out of it, absolutely loads out of it. Yeah, so parents, always been traditionally difficult to engage our parents in the life of the school. You get multi-generational unemployment. The school's not in their catchment area. We're not locals. We don't have parents at the gate. It's all taxis and buses. And also the parents quite often didn't have good experiences of school themselves. Our parents are involved in annual reviews, and before COVID we had them in as much as we could for the social part of the school, fairs, shows, award ceremonies, that sort of thing. And we also had parent tours of the Enterprise Academy when it first opened. One of the most successful aspects of our parent involvement was taking the parents to Radisson Red Hotel, where they were given a tour, given an idea of the kind of opportunities that they could take part in. Now, I just wanted to give you a couple of kind of case studies of pupils and where they'd gone. So we had this is a boy came from another school. His name's Joe. I'm not going to point him out in the thing, but he's in each of these pictures. He was care experienced, coming from an area in the south side of Glasgow. Real kind of poverty, very sad story. And a few years ago, in our hotel skills class, we were able to get the pupils to go and stay in a hotel in Stirling for a night, which they absolutely loved. He'd never been to a hotel before, and I was delighted that when he was leaving last year, I was informed that he was leaving to go into a bakery course at the City of Glasgow College. So this, and he absolutely loved every aspect of the hotel skills course, and he really kind of lapped it up. So he was an absolute success story. And another one was a pupil of our own. She was very close to this, is Caitlin. She was very close to leaving an S4. She was working at kind of National 3 level, maybe a little bit towards National 4 in some aspects. And we kind of thought that she was going to kind of She wanted to go do childcare, but she went to a work experience and she was all right at it. But as she became involved with the Enterprise Academy, she kind of changed her focus, became much more about hospitality. She was supported by Enable, and Mum wasn't so sure, and we had to kind of work with Mum. So there's a lot going on there. But she had some really successful work experiences at the Hilton, and then in a couple of cafes in the city centre in Glasgow, and that led on to employment. So the last thing I heard that she was working as a supervisor in Nando's. So for one of our pupils who only left a few years ago to be at that level already, it was really great for us, and it's a really good success story. And hopefully, when we're allowed pupils to come back in, we'll be able to get Caitlin back in. Um, so that was just 2 wee case studies. Just want to talk briefly about our career education standards. So in 2017 we decided to have a closer look at the career education standards, and I worked with our local education and inclusion officer, Margaret Murray, to examine in detail the work we were doing and how this reflected the career education standards. We revisited this in 2019 and we're due to do it again this year. But it really helped us to focus on our strengths. And if you've not looked at the career education standards, it's a really good thing to look at and to kind of frame what you're doing in DYW around it. It gave us a focus on our strengths, but also our next steps as a school. It wasn't a huge piece of work, but it was very worthwhile. I'll send this on to your tutor, Paula, and the main idea was really to engage with each standard and see where we sat in relation to it. And it helped us have a really good idea of where we were. I know from speaking to other people that it's not something that's looked at a lot in other schools, but probably should be. And I know that Education Scotland are very keen on it. And also, these are our Parkhill senior profiles. So we use profiling in the school from S1 to S6, and that includes bits on DYW and also about their future ambitions. They're a big part of it. Profiling helps the pupils to engage with their own learning by reflecting what they're doing, why they're doing it, what skills they're developing. Through teacher forward planning, we also ask the staff to think about the skills for life, work and learning, and to use this language with the pupils in their profiles as well. Building up a profile also helps the pupil to constantly reflect on what they're doing and why they're doing it. So they're not just out there because, well, it's a bit of fun. They're reflecting on the placement, they're reflecting on the activities about what they've been doing. So to date, in a summary, I suppose, of our achievements in the Enterprise Academy, we opened the doors of the Enterprise Academy in 2017. So far, we've had pupils from 17 different schools attending. 31% of leavers left for vocational placements in 2018-19. Last year that dropped, and this year it'll drop again because I expect, just with everyone going into with COVID, everyone's wanting to go into the safer supported learning courses, and they're not getting work experiences, so they don't really know what's out there. But hopefully, post-COVID, we'll manage to kind of bring that up. We managed to increase the available places from 56 to 58 and have changed the courses to better reflect what suits the pupils that are attending. So we got rid of a couple of courses in the first year. We've added courses as we've gone along. We've enhanced our international partnership and been nominated for a number of awards linked to that. And the facilities are often used outside of COVID by complex learning needs and other ASN schools. So we regularly have people come in to use the facilities. The hotel room is very good for letting people understand how to clean things. Use hoovers, to change beds, that sort of thing. So, moving forward, our plans for the future, I'm very much aware that with an ageing population, that health and social care is going to become a huge industry in the next decade or so. And these are jobs that our pupils can access. If they can get their food hygiene certificate, a basic cooking qualification, then they can be preparing meals, serving meals. They might not be able to be nurses or anything like that, but there are a number of jobs that they can do in health and social care. We also recently introduced independent living skills courses for our more complex pupils who need support to look after themselves. This is all about aiming for them to be independent in their futures, even if that means living in sheltered accommodation. We're able to utilise the cafe and hotel room and professional kitchen for this. We have the cafe skills course. We're hoping to be able to introduce the MPA barista skills course as part of that in the future. Coffee's something that, I mean, obviously coffee's been popular. It's never been kind of unpopular. Well, it's, the last 30 odd years, but it's even more popular in schools right now. And going back to what I said at the beginning, Glen Crime were right at the front of the forefront of that. They knew that this, they had a coffee machine years ago. Glasgow spent a long time catching up. And once COVID has subsided, we hope to improve our parental engagement. That's something we need to get up. We need to improve on, just by getting them into the school, involved with the Enterprise Academy, and to understand more about their young people's futures through activities like industry visits and meeting with employers. So, if you would like any more information about the Enterprise Academy, you can find it here. If you Google Parkhill Secondary Enterprise Academy, Education Scotland, it'll come up. And there's some older videos there which might help you to understand more about what I've been speaking about. And there's some pupils that left a few years ago talking about things as well. Now, so just in conclusion, really, I'd like to answer some of your questions that you sent to me before this. Contact details are up there. I'm trying to point at them. There's my finger there. Contact details on Twitter, my email address, phone number if you want to phone. Feel free to drop us a line, get in touch, get in contact, come along and see us. More than happy to do that. So the first question was, do many of your workplace placements end in employment for the pupil? Well, pre-COVID, yes, they did. Mainly because we moved away from a model of work experience where we all our S4s go out to a model where that was the kind of the previous model we had. They all went out 1 week, work experience, sink or swim, that sort of thing. And we've got away. I did away with that years ago. Now we only send them out if they're ready, if they have a specific industry they are interested in. And that's worked much better. Pupils were finding a lot more success. It also helps when we support them with other organisations such as Skills Development Scotland, Enable, Hub International, all that. And this helps those young people to make into positive destinations, such as full employment. It was one of my main aims a few years ago, because almost 100% of our young people were going into college, the supported learning courses I mentioned earlier, and that's fine for some of them. It's exactly where they should be, but some of them are also ready for work, and we have a young man at the moment who's desperate to work, who's ready, but he hasn't been able to do any of the normal activities we usually set up. So we need to be able to support him to get into employment or an industry-related course, which will lead to full employment. Okay, next question was, do the companies that support you get trained to support your pupils? No, not really. As I mentioned about the Hilton earlier, we offered our partners an opportunity to come into the school. And that's not something we've been able to replicate recently. So the answer at the moment is no, but we try to do two things. On the one hand, we give them an idea of how good our pupils are. There's often some trepidation around the ability of our pupils, and we try to talk that up, because I think people often look at what they can't do rather than what they can do, and at the same time offer strategies for supporting them. One of the things I'm looking to be introduced as soon as possible is a business breakfast where we invite our partners into school and have the young people talk to them everything they're doing and hope to do. This is something I recently brought up at authority level as well. Is also about parental expectations. As many of our parents and carers, they don't really understand that their young people could work. So, about so it would be really good to get more training out there for the young people, for the employers as well, but also for parents to understand what kind of jobs that they're going to go into. So there's kind of a lot going on there, raising awareness for everybody, and that's something that I think we need to get back to going forward. And the thing is that also, I mean, people think about autism and they think they know, it's like a one size fits all, but obviously autism is a spectrum. So there's a lot of young people there who are autistic, but who are very, very capable. So last question was, I am interested in working in the ASN sector. Well done. Yes, good person. How did you get into this area? Well, as I said at the beginning, my own introduction was kind of by accident, so I can't say I was ever focused on it myself as a young person coming through. I kind of fell into it, and I've loved it ever since, but it wasn't my burning passion to do it. As coming through university or teacher training, and I know that we are very rarely ever get students on placements here or for visits as well. So that's something I'm happy to help arrange with in the future. If anyone wants to come out for a visit, my contact details are on the screen, and I know that in the next few years we will be looking for a home economics teacher. So keep your eyes peeled for a job advert. As soon as we are able to, I'm happy to arrange for one of you, if whoever, to come visit the school. To find out, what we do. But really, I mean, it's just about looking for if if you're interested, speak to people in your schools that you're working in. Find out, go and visit the learning support base if they've got one, or a unit if they've got one. Try and take any other courses. Nurture is a big thing now as well, particularly in Glasgow, as well as autism awareness. And if you're in your probation year next year, feel free to contact me. I'm happy to have you come in even then to discuss this further. Exciting things going out in the street, unfortunately. So yes, thank you very much for having me, and yeah, I'm happy to be contacted about any of this going forward. Thank you very much for having me. It's been great, and yeah, hopefully speak to you again soon. Bye bye.